Welcome to Insider Movies 7. We are here at Insider Movies 7. So I'm just going to give a brief history. I have not done that since Movie Friday 1. It's now Insider Movies. Same series. So I have not given a review on what this is since the very first one. So let me just give a brief history on that. So Insider Movies is basically, it got started because a friend of mine, I was an author, and my books kind of went far and wide, and I started in LA, and I started in a different industry than Hollywood. I did go to UCLA, and I met a lot of people when I was at UCLA. I just made a lot of contacts when I was there. But it was really when I became an author that my writing just happened to kind of spread like wildfire in the underground in Hollywood. And I started making friends behind the scenes there. And also in my other career, I already knew some people from Hollywood there. And so they started passing it along. And so it's just spread from there. And so I know a lot of people in those industries and other industries because of my work in Silicon Valley, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, but through that work, I had a friend that moved from a country in Europe. And he moved to Hollywood. And he actually started becoming really, really successful. He was on a successful TV series, and he ended up becoming, he was doing like independent films, but now he's doing big films. And because of that, his agent was like, well, now that he's working with big directors, he needs to know these movies. They expect him to know movies. And so I started having him watch movies, and then more and more people wanted to join in the movies I was having him watch. And then his agent would start calling me up and being like, emergency, we need to watch this movie. And I'd be like, well, that's actually on our list already. And I just basically compiled I have this book, and it's just, I now have a little book for you guys to make sure. But I have a huge, big pink journal that I got in the UK when I was visiting. And it just has a list, this huge list of movies that we've been watching and that we are still working our way through. And basically, those are the movies I'm sharing with you. I decided to have you guys join us in that long journey, and I'm giving you the history on those movies as we go through them, and I'm giving you the insider scoop on them as well. So this is basically to help people who are in Hollywood. These are the movies, and what I discovered, the big thing is that what I discovered when I was doing this is that, oh my gosh, like the group, there's people, we watch as a group like on Skype. And so we watch on Skype, like we get on Skype and we get on conference phone, and then we watch the movies together. And we've been doing it for a little over a year now, like I think about a year and a half now. And what I learned, since our age range, we have, I think our youngest member is 14, and then we go all the way up until like people in their late 80s, I think. And what I learned is that there are movies that the critics think you know and that you don't know. Like, I learned that the younger generation doesn't even know what The Matrix is. Like, I brought that up in my first thing. And I just learned that and everyone thinks, they're like, oh, what do you mean you don't know what The Matrix is? It's just all these movies that the big studios made. Everyone thinks that you know them. You don't know them, and every time we bring up a movie, and I'm like, you know this, love, right? Like the guy this all started with, there are so many movies that I'm like, well, you know this, right, love? Like, you do know this. Like, even TV shows, I'm like, The Brady Bunch, you know this, right, love? Like the Smurfs, you know this, right, love? And he's like, what's the Smurfs, love? And I'm like, oh. And what I'm finding out also, which I didn't say in the first one, was that after we watched a movie, he's like, oh, actually, we did have this in my country, but they made a version of it, and it's always some like tortured version. And I'm like, what did they do? And that makes me cry more than the fact that he didn't know what it was. So anyway, moving on, that's what Insider Movies is, and you can learn a little bit more about that in my first one, and I'll include the link up here to the very first one. Anyway, so that's what Insider Movies is all about. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny because there are things that I know that even like his agent doesn't know. It's kind of, I didn't realize just how much I know. So it's really neat because we pause the movie during it, and I teach them things about it, and I give them history, and I give them background, and I just feel really, really lucky for all the lives that I've lived. I may be disabled now and I may be locked up in a house now, but boy, do I know a lot. And I'm really glad that I have this platform to share with you. Though I do have some updates for you. There's a reason that we haven't heard from me a lot this week, and I'll update you that in my next video, hopefully next week. So, exciting changes. Now, let's get on to Ridley Scott and Blade Runner 2049, shall we? Ridley Scott, director you need to know. Director you need to know. So, two movies that we're doing this week. The two movies we're doing are Alien and Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner. And the reason we're doing those is because basically Blade Runner 2040, I keep screwing it, 2049 is coming out. All right, so you're going to be hearing a lot of hype about that. And basically it's the sequel to the original Blade Runner. And you have to see, I'm begging you to see the original Blade Runner first. It is a Hollywood staple. Everyone thinks that you know it. Everyone refers to it all the time. Like we just had to watch What About Bob? Like we had an emergency viewing this week on Tuesday, I think, of What About Bob. And then it was so funny because I just saw something in the Boston Globe and they had What About Bob on the cover. It's so funny because none of the young people, actually, the majority of the people had never heard of What About Bob. And there it was on the cover of the Boston Globe's like entertainment section. And I'm just like, these are movies you need to know. So when I say you need to know what Blade Runner is, you need to know it. Not to mention the fact that there's all this hype that they're redoing it. So, but it's based on this super famous movie. It did not necessarily do super well in the theaters when it first came out, but it became a cult favorite. And the reason I think it didn't do so well, if I remember correctly, is the first movie that he did that was huge. I mean, he worked in television through the 60s, but when he came out as a director was 1979. With the huge hit Alien. And that's the second movie that we're doing this week. And Alien was just massive with Sigourney Weaver. And that's a good kickoff to lead into October because it's September 29th or 28th right now. And we're leading into October, in which I'm going to do 12 movies instead of 8. Because Halloween, I know not everyone's into scary movies. I'm not into scary movies, so I'm going to do like one family, one horror, and then one suspense, just so that there's something for everyone for the October theme. So that everyone has something they can actually watch. But Alien is one of the movies that we didn't have on the list, but we should have had on the list, but it works because it is absolutely a staple. And it's memed all the time. It was memed before even meme was a word. It was like the first meme, to be honest. Like, you could say that Alien was the first and longest running meme of all time. Yeah. I think it's fair to say that. So let's just say stomach, guts, Alien. You'll know what I mean when you see it. All right, so Alien, you got to see it. And then Blade Runner, you got to see it. Now, what I'm going to say about Blade Runner before I go is this. It has Harrison Ford in it, great. But here is my prediction. And here is my concern. And here is just what I think. Let me correct the camera really quickly. It seems to want to fall out today. It took me forever to get this set up. I don't know why. So I don't know what's going on with it. So anyway, so what do I really want to say this, you guys? There is so much hype, and I know everyone who's negative goes online and says it, but there's so much BS out there about feminism and why does feminism coming back and feminazis and all this thing. And I think that when you watch Blade Runner and then you watch Blade Runner 2049, you will understand why feminism is having such a comeback. When I saw the trailer for Blade Runner 2049, I saw something instantly. Like, I saw some really big red flags for me instantly. I mean, just right off the gate. And I was like, let me go check it. Let me go check it. Let me just check it real quick. And I was right. I went back and I checked the cast of the original Blade Runner, and I was freaking right. When you go check it, Blade Runner came out in 82. When I watched the trailer for the new Blade Runner, there's one female character. One prominent female character. Watch the original Blade Runner, and the cast is 50-50. The women in it are powerful and memorable and real. And now the new Blade Runner, the women are sidelined. You mark my words. It is male-centric, just like Hollywood movies today. I mean, that is just the fact of the matter, you guys. I remember I actually had everyone get online. I had everyone get online with me in my group, and I got the new Wolverine movie. I made everyone get online, and I made them all watch the new trailer for the Wolverine movie with me. And I was like, what did you notice? I was like, I want to hear it, because I kind of treat it like a teacher. I'm kind of like a teacher with everyone. I'm like, let me hear it. Let me hear it, everyone. I want to hear your thoughts. And they're like, what? What should we be seeing? Like, they were just like, uh-oh, what is she seeing? Because they could tell I was pissed. And I was just like, let me see it. Let me hear it. Like, I dare you to pause this and go watch that trailer. And just, like, watch it. And I was like, there's one woman in it. And the one female character is a little girl who's just being rescued. She's not a speaking part. It's all men. The whole trailer was men. And we are 50% of the population. I'm so tired of seeing movies where there's no one there for me to relate to. I'm just like, where did I go? Like, why can't I find myself in Hollywood anymore? Why can't I watch a studio? Why can't I do it? Why can't I watch any Hollywood movie anymore and see myself in it? I can't see any woman anywhere. It's just, we're like wiped from the planet. And I watched the Blade Runner trailer and I was like, where'd the woman go? And you just go ahead and watch the original Blade Runner and see what a powerful part women play in it. You don't even notice it because we're 50% of the population and you don't notice the woman in it until you watch Blade Runner 2049. It's just all men, all the famous men, and then the women are tokens. It's always a token woman. All these famous directors that come out and they do this big movie, and then the women that are in it, it'll be like Tilda Swinton because she's the token female character in it. Or Scarlett Johansson, she's the token female character in it. You just go around and you watch the Hollywood movies. That's why feminism is back, because we are being excluded. We are being wiped out of Hollywood movies. Watch how many big budget movies we're not even in, where there's not even a female character in it. We're just like some love interest that's watched from a door, but we don't actually have a speaking part in it. It's scary. It's really scary. And the other thing that really scares me about 2049 is that it just picks up 30 years later and they're all searching for Harrison Ford's character. And I'm like, if you don't have a script where you can redo the movie without saying, oh, we're looking for Harrison Ford, that's just begging us all to see the movie anyway. Like, it's not standing on its own 2 feet. I don't care if it's done by the Sicario director. That concerns me. That tells me the writing is to be questioned. When they lean on things like Jared Leto and things like that, I'm like, then I'm worried about the writing. I'm really worried about the writing. Like, Sicario was great. Don't get me wrong. It was an amazing movie. But what about the writing in this one? It has a lot of red flags for me about remakes. Remember when I talked about remakes in Mad Max? And I talk about that in that movie Friday one. So I'll try and include a link to that at the end of this. Actually, I'll include it below, down in the description to movie Friday one for you guys, where I also talk about Hollywood remakes in there. And we will see, but there's too many red flags for me. But you have to, it just brings up a good fact. You need to see Blade Runner anyway. It was on the list for us to see anyway. It's as good as time as now. I don't want this big budget film to come out. You need to know Ridley Scott and you need to know Alien. So this is a perfect time. All right, you guys. So I will see you next week or for the next one when we start our October theme. I'm so excited. And I love you guys. This is exciting. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying this. And yeah, let's continue this Hollywood adventure together. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.